I think we're live. Good morning. Today is February 20th of 2023. Holy crap, I had to think about that for a minute. Time is flying. My name is Michelle, and I am a very concerned Michigander. There seems to be a lot of stuff going on I had no idea about until very recently, and that's concerning to me, because no one around me seems to know either, which begs the question, why? Today, specifically, I wanted to discuss the EV battery plant that is proposed for Big Rapids, Michigan, which would completely change Big Rapids for the worst, maybe, in my opinion, but we'll get into the details and facts. If you enjoy content about Michigan, or if you're a concerned Michigander like myself, please consider subscribing. That's the main focus of the channel, is Michigan news, and then technology and books and war. And those are my main concerns. And so if you're into that kind of stuff or want more news, consider subscribing. Well, let's jump into this, shall we? Let's see. The notion of Gotion. This is out of mackinac.org, posted February 10th, and I'm just going to jump right into the article, give you the information. The Michigan Strategic Fund approved a deal in October to grant massive subsidies to a for-profit corporation known as Gotion, Inc. It includes state and local incentives worth up to $733 million. This is a bad deal for a number of reasons, not the least of which is the size and length of state and local incentives. Research shows that such government program efforts frequently fail to deliver and are very expensive, especially in terms of the opportunity cost. A 2018 academic study that examined thousands of incentive deals across 35 states, including more than 180 in Michigan, found a starkly negative impact from subsidizing large businesses. This is precisely what the SOAR program and the Gotion deal are designed to do. The Mackinac Center adapted a similar methodology for its 2020 study on the impacts of 9 Michigan-specific economic development program areas. We found very little job creation across 2,300 deals, and those jobs that were created came with massive subsidy offers. The cost clearly outweighed the benefits. These are just 2 studies. Scholars with no dog in Michigan's fight have researched incentives from many angles and time periods across states, local governments, and nations. They have repeatedly found these deals to be ineffective, too costly, or both. There are hundreds of academic studies by university researchers that cast doubt on state and local incentive programs. Proponents of such deals have no such mountain of evidence on their side of the debate. In fact, the best evidence they typically point to are studies conducted by consultants they pay, which aren't always of the highest quality. It's worth noting, too, that not all arguments against incentives are economic ones. There is concern among some in Big Rapids area that Gotion's large new electric vehicle battery plant would change the very character of the community, and not in completely positive ways. I'm going to pause just a second. I completely agree. Right now, Big Rapids, Michigan is a college town, but it is probably the quietest college town I have ever been to, and I love it that way. It's very quaint, very cute, has a really nice downtown, it's very clean, and there's a beautiful river that goes right through it. That is a big point of contention with me with the EV battery plant. And I do have another video, Dangers of the EV battery plant. I will put it down below if you're interested in watching that. I have way more information, but this is just an update to that, and I'm going to stay on top of this story because it's concerning to me. And so, like Jordan Peterson says, clean your room and then clean the room around you, potentially, before you worry about the world. But anyway, let's get back into this. Sorry, I lost my spot because I'm scrolled around. Let's see, there is concern, yes. Okay, a recent Detroit News op-ed by former ambassadors Peter Hoekstra and Joseph Sella raised another concern, that Gotion's parent company is headquartered in the People's Republic of China, and that its plant would be located close to a Michigan National Guard armory. That is a huge concern. Now, I know that war is a racket, 100%. I'm not for war whatsoever. However, our government seems to be very war hawkish, and although it seems like right now China and the United States government, President Biden, seem to be friendly, however, there's a lot of articles out there where there's tension because of Taiwan and everything else, and I'm not going to get into in this video, but obviously it's very worrisome that the People's Republic of China will be in Michigan, in a tiny little town, on a water source that's very important for this entire area for miles and miles. It's very concerning. That's why I think everybody needs to see this story and know what's going on. Everybody in Michigan especially. There are better ways for state and for local communities to grow, provide high-quality public services, and keep overall tax and regulatory burdens light. The state should be creating a sound business environment for all residents and job providers, not just a favored few. Amen. Amen. I say it time and again. Government creating these regulations and making deals with these huge businesses, that helps monopolies. That helps create monopolies. We need to have no taxes to bring businesses in, local business, have small business, less barriers to entry, so that we can have people actually from Michigan create a small business and hire Michiganders. My idea, I said it in the last video about this topic, and I'll say it again, a greenhouse. Use that 500 acres to create the largest greenhouse in Michigan. Employ a bunch of gardeners, employ a bunch of gardeners, create food for the area, for Michigan. If we create it big enough, 500 acres, I mean, I don't have the logistics, but it seems like that could be a pretty big facility that creates a lot of food for the state of Michigan. And we all know, or should know, that food could be very scarce in the future, so why don't we prepare for that? Anyway, I just found this information about the National Guard, and I thought it was really important to share. I'll show it right now actually, a map so you can see exactly what's going on here. So this is Big Rapids. Ferris State University is the university to make this a college town. And supposedly that's the college that's going to get all the jobs, which we all know is BS. If you do any kind of research, it's all a lie, unfortunately. Or, they just tell you what you want to hear. But if there are any jobs created, you think that they're going to be local? Or perhaps they'll come from China? Or perhaps they'll come from Silicon Valley? Who knows? But you can't enforce the locality. Anyway, so here we have the Michigan National Guard Armory. And right up here is the airport. And so this area right here, where you have this water source, I can zoom in a little bit for you. This is where the proposed electric vehicle battery plant is to be built. And this is the armory. And this is the beautiful river that is entirely too close to all the chemicals that an EV battery plant has within it. Do you trust the Chinese company next to your water source with lithium, ion, and cobalt and all these other chemicals that they don't really know how to dispose of properly? I don't. And as you can see, it goes quite a long way Bring it down here. It's a lot of people that would be affected. A lot of people. Look at that. It's a very important river for Michigan. And we'll scroll all the way out so you could see exactly where all this is going on. In case you don't know where Big Rapids is, it is about an hour north of Grand Rapids. And that river is big enough you could see way out here. I mean, it's very important for a lot of people. So it's not just this township or these 3 townships even that need to be concerned. It needs to be everybody that is affected potentially by a poisoning of our water source. And if you don't think that could happen, just go to Flint. See what happened there and nobody was held accountable for that. I'm still going to do a video on that. But this right now is something that we can actually stop from happening. And so that's where I'm at. Yeah, this just shows the airport. All right. Going to the next article. BigRapidsNews.com. This is the Pioneer newspaper out of Big Rapids. Mecosta County Battery Manufacturing Facility will receive millions in financial incentives. Make sure everything's a go. Yes, okay. Sorry, making sure things are good. All right. Grants approved by Michigan Strategic Fund Board will come from SOAR dollars. January 4th of 2023. Mecosta County. Needs to be an A there. In October, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and the Michigan Strategic Fund Board approved a financial incentive package for Gotion, Inc. to bring an electric vehicle battery component manufacturing facility to Mecosta County. The financial incentive package approved by the MSF board includes a $125 million performance-based critical industry program grant and a $50 million performance-based strategic site readiness program grant authorized through the Strategic Outreach and Attraction Fund Act, as well as a Michigan designated Renaissance Zone valued at approximately $540 million. You know how I know government's too big? There's too much crap going on. All of these acts and committees. Anyway, I digress. I will continue on. Several criteria were taken into consideration in awarding the CIP and the SSRP grants, including the economic importance of the project to the community and the potential for revitalization within the community, as well as community support for the project. Other considerations included creation or retention of qualified jobs, defined as jobs the company creates and are performed by Michigan residents, as well as potential area-wide redevelopment, how the project addresses underserved markets, and potential environmental impacts of the project. That's what I would like to know. So far, all my research, I haven't seen any of the potential environmental impacts. That's a problem for me. I want to know what they are. The MSF board also looked at any additional economic assistance or support provided by the state or federal government, private fund investments, and the applicant's need. By the way, I want to say, I and nobody I know knew anything, and I live close to the area, and nobody I know knew about this until October, like 3rd, I believe, is when Whitmer released. So then the deal was halfway done. Why did nobody know about it before it was almost over? Now, it's not over yet. That's the good news. It's not over yet. It's not built. It's not sold even. So we have time, but not much. The grant awards are based on milestones the company is required to meet before any of the funds are dispersed. Details of the grant terms provided by the MSF state the grant funds will be dispersed for eligible expenses in phases between December 2023 and March 2032. So that tells me that we have until December 2023. That's when building will start, or when the deal will be through. But if they're starting to make payments December of 2023, that's our deadline. Or before that, October maybe even, but at least we have some idea. But it won't be done until March of 2032, and want that to be known, to be examined, because by March of 2032, automation and AI will be 100% different. I mean, that's years from now. 9 years from now, the world will be a different place. So if you think that they're going to have 2,000 jobs for you by 2032, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. It's going to be automated. Eligible expenses are defined as hard costs for site preparation, construction, infrastructure, development, machinery, equipment, tooling, computers, fixtures, and other capital expenditures at the site. CIP Phase 1 distribution, or disbursements, CIP Phase 1 disbursements up to $95 million will require an executed development agreement between the company and the local units of government, and the purchase or transfer of land to the company. No. Do you want to sell Michigan land to China? That's the question here. Do you want to sell that land to China and give them a bunch of incentives and taxpayer dollars? Phase 2 is up to $30 million, will require an investment by the company of no less than $1,975 million in connection with the project and creation of 1,500 qualified jobs. Yep. Those jobs are probably all construction, and therefore temporary. Phase 3, project completion will require completion of all Phase 1 and Phase 2 milestones, as well as achievement of overall investment and job commitment by the company. I mean, the place is huge. It's a mega site, so I bet you they could do 1,500 people just building it. The SSRP grant will award up to $50 million for eligible activities such as infrastructure improvements and site development, dispersed upon the company meeting certain milestones. Up to $25 million will be dispersed upon written agreements between the company and contractors to perform eligible activities, along with agreements with Big Rapids Charter Township, Green Charter Township, and Mecosta County for transfer of land, and a development agreement between the company and the local governmental entities. An additional disbursement up to $25 million will require an itemization for actual expenditures for eligible activities and detailed descriptions of eligible activities to be completed. Itemization of actual expenditures for eligible activities completed during the term of the grant, and verification that 100% of the dispersed funds were used for eligible activities in connection with the project is required upon completion. And what happens if they're not? Who's going to be held responsible? Nobody was held responsible for Flint. No one's held responsible for anything, which is why we're where we're at today. There's no consequences to any actions. Talked to somebody recently who works at a school, and middle schoolers are fighting and smoking in the bathrooms and drinking at school, middle schoolers, and nothing happens to them, so there's no consequences to their actions, so why would they stop? Anyway, again, I'm sorry, I keep going on little tangents, but there's things happening all around that I had no idea about until, again, very recently, and I think it's important to share these things. We don't talk enough to each other, it seems. And things are going on that shouldn't be, like selling our land to China. Joshua Hunt, MEDC, Chief Projects Officer, noted previously that in addition to the incentives package being milestone driven, it is also reimbursement based. The company will be required to invest their own dollars before receiving any proportional reimbursement back. In addition, there are repayments that the company will be required to make if they do not create the jobs associated with the project. State funding for economic development. In December of 2021, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, in collaboration with a Michigan state legislator, labor leaders, economic development agencies, and business groups, signed a package of economic incentives that would allow Michigan to compete for transformational projects that will bring long-term economic opportunity and security in the battery production industry. Why do we want that industry here? If you actually look into the industry, again, even check out my video that tells the dangers of electric vehicle batteries in themselves. Why do we want this industry here? Michigan is such a beautiful state. It's one of the most beautiful states that I've been to. It's just a little cold. That's the thing that sucks about it. It gets a little cold. But there's so much water, so much wildlife and fish and game and disc golfing courses. And just there's so much beauty, natural beauty here in Michigan. Why do we want electric vehicle chemicals everywhere around our water sources? Why don't we, again, produce food? If you think cow farts are bad, I completely disagree with you. They don't smell that great, but they're natural. They're way more natural than industrial freaking wind turbines. But anyway, if you don't like cow farts and you want to eat plants, even though they're alive too, they just don't move and talk. Cows talk by mooing. Anyway, if you want to eat plants, I like vegetables. I love vegetables. I would love to go grow some broccoli. I would work at a greenhouse in Big Rapids, Michigan. I would do it. No problem. Teach me all that there is to know about plants and growing, and because we need to eat to live. It's kind of important. And I definitely don't want to eat bugs. So why don't we build a huge dome greenhouse? Let's go, baby. I think it's a way better idea than all this battery stuff. I mean, look into cobalt. It's terrible how batteries are made. It takes 1,000 times more cobalt for an electric vehicle battery, than it does the chip in your cell phone. So consider what the battery production industry is, what it means, what chemicals are involved. Like, we don't want it here. I swear we don't. We do want jobs. I understand that. But not those jobs. And there won't be any anyway. It can all be automated. But growing plants, cultivating, that is human work with human hands, not AI, not robots. So that will actually bring jobs that can't be automated. Or at least shouldn't, because if you tell water I love you, it's way more beautiful. If you tell it I hate you, it turns ugly on a microscopic level if you look at it. If it affects water, plants drink water and everything, water's involved in everything, I'm sorry, but tell your plants I love you before you eat them. They'll vibrate at a more beautiful frequency. And I think that could be good for your health. Another side tangent. I'm sorry. Getting back on track. The Michigan Strategic Fund Act authorized the Michigan Strategic Fund to provide incentives in the form of grants, loans, and other economic assistance for the development of Michigan's economy. Republicans and Democrats worked across the aisle to build up the state's economic development toolkit and empower Michigan to compete for such projects. They worked together. Remember that. They do all the time when it serves their needs, when it's what they want. It's only when it's what we want that they pretend to fight. Whitmer said in the news release announcing the Gotion incentive package, which wasn't announced until October of 2022, the state is in a global competition for transformational projects involving companies that are aiming to invest billions of dollars and hire thousands of workers to build, but then what? Gotion's new battery component manufacturing facility in Big Rapids is the largest economic development project ever in northern Michigan. We don't want it. The $2.3 billion investment is set to create 2,350 good-paying jobs That is debatable, and I will show you why in the notes coming up from the meetings that's been happening in the township. The $2.3 billion investment is set to create 2,350 good-paying jobs and help us become the destination for EV and mobility companies. It is a great day for the Michigan economy, and we are winning because we are working together. The Michigan Renaissance Zone Act authorizes the MSF to designate Renaissance zones. The MEDC received an application from Mecosta County for a 30-year designated Renaissance zone for Gotion, Inc. for a total of 523 acres in Mecosta County, including 150 acres in Big Rapids Township and 408 acres in Green Charter Township. Okay, let's go back here. I see. That's because this is the township, so I wonder where that township begins and ends, though I don't really know. Maybe right here, something like that. So yeah, Big Rapids, and then the township, and then the county. Doesn't show that on this map. Okay. Anyway. Whoops. It is estimated that approximately 16.6 million will be abated annually in property taxes. The company requested approval to make a payment in lieu of taxes, or pilot, to Big Rapids Township, Green Charter Township, or Mecosta County for reimbursement of the real property taxes abated by the Renaissance Zone designation. Owners of property in the pilot program make payments to the county and city in lieu of taxes. These payments are exactly the same as the property taxes assessed when the pre-renovation property was accepted into the pilot program, and are revised as the county and or city tax rates are changed. In response to many residents questioning the tax abatements on the proposed Renaissance Zone property, County Administrator Paul Bullock said recently that currently the Big Rapids Airport and Industrial Park property is not producing any tax revenue because it is owned by a governmental entity, and the Green Township land is zoned agricultural and therefore produces very little tax revenue. So yeah, you want to take our agricultural land when a food shortage is probably imminent. I mean, it is imminent. It's going to happen probably later this year or next year, unfortunately, because of supply chain issues, nitrogen, all kinds of things. Ohio, this devastation in Ohio, majority of the jobs in Ohio are farmland, agricultural. The cows, the chickens, the land itself is poisoned by this terrible thing that happened with the train derailment. We are in trouble, people. It just hasn't hit us yet. But the world is going to be hurting from all of this devastation to our food supply. Why do we want to sell the land that can be used to create food to create something we cannot eat? And that doesn't mean a damn thing if you don't have electricity or if you don't have food, if you're going to starve to death. The taxes we collect on vacant or agricultural land will not compare to the taxes we will collect on housing developments or business and commercial developments that will come into our community. It looks like a lot of money we are giving up, but it is money we are never going to get if the project doesn't happen. If the project does happen, it will come from other sources as we see additional growth in the community. Company background. Gotion was founded in 1998 in China. In 2014, it was incorporated as a publicly traded company focused on research and development with facilities in California and Ohio. It currently has facilities in Europe, China, Germany, and the United States. Its products include lithium-ion phosphate materials and batteries, ternary materials and batteries, power battery packs, battery management systems, and energy storage battery packs for use in electric vehicles. Gotion also offers high-voltage electrical appliances, switcher equipment, electrical digital equipment, intelligent distribution network equipment, serialized transformers, circuit breakers, integrated charging piles, onboard chargers, and energy storage cabinets for use in thermal power, hydropower, nuclear power, wind power, metallurgy, railways, and other industries. Chuck Thalen, Vice President for Manufacturing Operations for Gotion Inc., said the Big Rapids facility will be a battery component manufacturing plant, making the two key components of the battery, the cathode and the anode. In my other video, those were discussed, but I will be going deeper into those, I think, in another video, because I think it's important to understand exactly what Big Rapids would be building. What are the dangers of these two key components? It's really important we know. With over 2 million square feet under roof, it is a significant investment, Thalen said. We are one of the first cathode and anode suppliers in the US, and we will be selling the product outside of our company to many competitors. The first supplier in the United States. Brent Case, Vice President of Business Attraction with The Right Place, said the location and the community have been prepared for an opportunity like this to utilize the infrastructure, locally trained talent pool, and outstanding resources from the area for many years. We are well on our way to positioning the region at the center of West Michigan's growing mobility and EV sector. Do we want that? That's what this area needs to decide. Do we want to be the center of West Michigan's growing EV sector? No, and if you don't know anything about electric vehicles, then it's time to start learning. It's time to dive in, because this is very important for this area. I can't stress it enough. I'm very concerned. Water and food are the two most important things, obviously. You can't go into the matrix, on the internet, in the computer. You can't do anything unless you eat food and drink water to survive. I want everyone to remember that. It is anticipated the influx of jobs will result in additional investments and redevelopment opportunities in the area. The project is expected to generate over $11.5 billion in new personal income, which will create the demand for additional service, tourism, and hospitality enterprises, expanding the small business community. No, it won't. It'll freaking crush small business like everything else has so far. Anything the government touches, it just crushes small business and creates monopolies. I don't think there's any comments, but let's see. Nope, be the first to comment. Well, that's unfortunate. All right, another one from Pioneer, which makes sense. This is a Big Rapids ordeal. Big Rapids Township request review of Gotion Battery Plant, international risks it may attract. National security risks of concern to board members. This is good, although they're asking the federal government to investigate. That is not going to help any. Big Rapids Township, during a special meeting held February 15th, the Big Rapids Township Board of Trustees approved a motion to request a review of the Gotion High-Tech Inc. electric vehicle battery manufacturing company, which is looking to locate a facility in Mecosta County on national security concerns the company may bring. During the meeting, Trustee Penny Curry told the board she has some concerns regarding the origin of Gotion High-Tech, with it being an international company. You mean a Chinese company? Let's be real, because if it was a German company, well, okay, let's see. If it was a UK company, there would be no problem. We're allies with the UK, it's a Western civilization, they have they used to have similar ideas. Anyway, it would be more understandable, a little bit better, although I'd still be against it because EV battery plant, but it's a Chinese company on top of it. So it's filled with poisonous chemicals, and it's a Chinese company. That is a big deal. During the meeting, Trustee Penny Curry told the board she has some concerns. Okay, I'm sorry. It makes me nervous that these could be a target I am asking the board to consider submitting a request to have a CFIUS review done by the federal government. Don't know what that is. I need to look into that. In September, President Joe Biden signed an executive order which provides guidance on how the Committee of Foreign Investment in the United States should examine national security risks associated with any given foreign transaction. It highlights the importance of considering whether a transaction party has a commercial, investment, non-economic, or other ties with a foreign person that may pose a national security threat. Another concern with Gotion and the possible location, she said, is that Michigan houses the Austin gas fields, the largest reservoir of natural gas in the United States, as well as Camp Grayling, the largest National Guard facility in the United States. In the corporate minutes of the Gotion High-Tech Board meeting of February, Curry said it clearly notes the founding father of the company is on a committee called the People's Political Consultant Conference, which is described as an advisory board within the People's Republic of China and a central part of the Chinese Communist Party. Curry, I love you. You keep it up. You keep it up. Curry said the most basic question that should have been put to the governor, the legislator, the congressional delegates, and the townships regarding the Gotion project should have been if they have done their due diligence by doing a CFIUS review of the company. This request is just one of many steps the board has taken to ensure they make the right decision for the community with respect to the Gotion Inc. battery component manufacturing facility proposal. In addition, the board held a special meeting earlier this week to hear from two speakers on the effectiveness of economic subsidies. Michael Lefebvre, Senior Director of Policy with the Mackinac Center for Fiscal Policy, told an audience of more than 100 residents that in his 27 years with the center, he has done several studies on fiscal policy, including those dealing with economic incentive deals. State and local governments approve tens of billions of dollars in incentives every year, and most independent studies show that they are ineffective at achieving their goals of raising economic growth or adding particular jobs on net balance. Lefebvre said, I love you too, Lefebvre. I hope I'm saying it right. I'm sorry if I'm not. Especially when you consider the other things the government could do with the money used to incentivize industry. Yes, it could do so much better with the money. And incentivize China to come to Michigan. This shouldn't be a surprise, though. Whitmer went to Davos. Whitmer is an internationalist. She doesn't give a shit about us Michiganders. She just cares about her own position in the international movement of the World Economic Forum and all those rich... Their money has a lot to do with it because they're using it to abuse power. But anyway, she is looking up, Michiganders. Our Governor Whitmer, is looking up. She's not looking around at the people that put her into that position, supposedly. The people of Michigan that supposedly voted her in, even though she is an internationalist who was very into lockdowns, which the World Economic Forum is very into lockdowns. But anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, again, I apologize for my deviancy. In 2019, study academics looked at 2,400 deals where they were able to... Oh, sorry. Let me re-speak. In a 2019 study, academics looked at 2,400 deals where they were able to track employment at firms and measure whether real-world evidence showed employment at those firms would increase relative to firms like them that did not receive subsidies. Maybe I just read the sentence wrong. Give me a second. Academics looked at 2,400 deals where they were able to track employment at firms and measure whether real-world evidence showed employment at those firms would increase relative to firms like them that did not receive subsidies. I'm sorry, whoever wrote this in the Pioneer. I appreciate the information, but that sentence was extremely difficult, and I'm still unsure at what you're trying to say, and I'm not going to spend any more time on it. But make it a little easier for the dummies next time. The conclusion was that there was a starkly negative employment impact between subsidies for big business and employment growth at those companies, according to LaFave. He's my fave. They found that, like companies they compared them to, had faster rates of employment growth. In 2020, using the same methodology, the Mackinac Center looked at 2,300 deals that were Michigan-specific, involving 9 incentive programs going back to 1983. In 5 of the program's areas, we couldn't measure employment growth in a positive or negative way. In one category, the finding was negative. The employment in the area dropped. In 3 categories, we did find a positive employment impact. However, the incentives were so large it made the costs greatly outweigh the benefits. One thing Thomas Sowell always says, there are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. And that is the truest thing I've seen from him, and there's a lot he said that's very true. From 2005 to 2016, there have been 4 Michigan-specific studies done, and they found generally a 0 to negative impact from Renaissance Zone programs run by the state. A consultancy in Lansing looked at it in terms of opportunity costs. They said if we took the same amount of incentives and rolled back the business tax by the same amount, he calculated cutting taxes would have been a better approach and would have created 12,000 more jobs than created by the Renaissance Zone. He added that the studies from Michigan State University and Wayne State University found that local governments that don't offer tax abatements are as likely to experience economic growth as communities that were generous in granting abatements. Very often it involves a transfer of wealth rather than the creation of wealth. Sometimes developments work as predicted, but it is more an exception than the rule. Michigan has one of the biggest and most active subsidy regimes in the country, but we are the 13th worst in job growth. Studies have concluded that between 75% and 98% of company relocations, expansions, or promises to retain jobs would happen even without incentives. The factors most consistently and positively related to economic health are investments in the downtown and spending on basic local public services. Yes, there's so much more we need in Big Rapids. You know, a bookstore. How about that? I would love to open it, but there's so many barriers to entry that it's probably $50,000 to $100,000 just to start. So when you make business, small business, hard and expensive because of how many hoops you have to jump through, well, it's no problem when you are a huge company and can hire a legal team. It's no problem when you can hire whoever you need to help get around those loopholes, or rather, those hoops that you have to jump through to find loopholes. You can hire people because you have money and you have manpower because you're a huge company. That's why government regulations create the monopolies, is because the big companies that are already established, they can eat the cost. The companies that want to get started, they can't get started now because they don't have enough money. I digress. The factors most consistently and positively related to economic health are investments in the downtown. Okay, sorry. A success you didn't mention. During a public comment portion of the meeting, Big Rapids Mayor Fred Gunther pointed out that in the 90s, the Michigan Economic Growth Authority put together a package to help Hayworth come to Big Rapids. The Mackinac Center came out opposed to that project, as you are with this project. Hayworth is now one of our biggest employers. They have expanded. They have been wonderful employer of the people in Big Rapids. That is a success you didn't mention. That's success. Resident Paul Griffith said Big Rapids Components, a Hayworth company, was the first mega program deal approved in the state, and for 25 years the area has experienced the benefits of that. There are currently approximately 300 employees at the 2 Hayworth plants. Let's use an average of $50,000 a year of $24 per hour average of all employees. For 2022, that would amount to a $15 million annual payroll. I then took 97% of that figure to arrive at the annual wages for 2021-2020. The total payroll for those 25 years is in the neighborhood of $250 million. Looking at the public tax record, Hayworth has paid $350,000 in property taxes in 2021 alone. Other benefits of Hayworth being in our community are the services and products they purchase locally on an annual basis, including parts made by local small machine shops, catering services, visits to the hardware stores, cleaning services, restaurant meals, lodging for visitors, and the list goes on. Stretching it, man. You're stretching it. Not to say that Hayworth isn't a good thing. I'd have to look into the pros and cons. How many jobs did they say that they were going to bring, and how many jobs did they actually bring? If they said they were going to bring in 2,000, and now they're doing 300, well, did they have 2,000 for how long? Like, these are all things you need to look into. You can't just take anybody's word for anything. You have to cross-reference and do your due diligence, because people lie, cheat, and steal. And we've rewarded that, unfortunately, with money and power. And so, here we are. Big Rapids was the first mega project, which proved to be successful, and we can be among the first SOAR projects, Griffith said. We have seen firsthand the impact these incentive programs can have and have had on our community for a quarter of a century. John Mozena, a president of the Center for Economic Accountability, told those in attendance that polling shows 55% of Americans believe that subsidy deals are important and matter to the economy, that if we don't do them, the company will go somewhere else. You don't have to read studies to understand that these don't work, Mozena said. We can see how bad politicians and bureaucrats are at running an economy. It is important to realize no matter how good the intentions may be, they still fall prey to their inability to make a better decision than the free market process would do. It's a fact. Centralized power, which is more and more government, is not the solution. In fact, it is the root of many of our problems. Let the free market work. Why would a small group of people have so much say over so much stuff, money, and everything else? They shouldn't. They should be more decentralized. They shouldn't have so much damn power. Mozena explained that the Michigan Economic Development Corporation has set a goal to add 100,000 jobs to the Michigan economy over 5 years. The workforce of the state is around 4.9 million. They are going to spend 5 years and untold amounts of money to create 100,000 jobs. That is equivalent to adding 125 fans at the FSU stadium. That's not nothing, but the number of people at any given game can fluctuate by more than that at any given time. Additionally, 100,000 jobs is not nothing, but the state's economy is going to fluctuate by more than that at any given time, given all the factors that go into it. Mozena said researchers have found that states whose governor is running for re-election are twice as likely to see a sudden large jump in subsidy deals. Studies also show that the governors who take credit for creating manufacturing jobs can move independent voter intention by as much as 9%. And real-world studies show that companies that make campaign contributions to politicians are 4 times more likely to get subsidies. That's a lot of corruption. Basically, you buy 9% of the vote by having subsidies because you're bringing in business. The corruption and the centralization of power is beyond frustrating to me, and I will continue to point it out for as long as I do this YouTube channel. And if I can't do YouTube, I'll do Rumble. But this information is important. I don't think enough people know about it. They don't know what's going on. There is really good research about the negative impacts of screwing around with an economy like this, Mozena said. Places that spend more on subsidies spend less on public on basic public services such as police, fire, roads, schools, etc. Places that spend more on subsidies see less entrepreneurship. They get scared away or crowded out of the marketplace. They see less innovation as measured by patent filings. These deals artificially concentrate the share of the economy in the hands of big business. Yes, exactly, because big government loves big business and hates small business because they can't control it as easy. If a company has its business decisions changed by a subsidy, that means it is not going to be the best place to do business. In looking at site selection factors that businesses use to decide where to locate, incentives come in well below other factors such as skilled workforce availability, regulatory factors, tax rates, energy reliability, and infrastructure quality. Fundamental things you look at when deciding to do business. One can describe the error of economic incentives that we don't get to decide if they are a pre-existing fact in the negotiation process. Green Township Supervisor Jim Chapman said, "They are, so we have to work within that. The argument was made that people pay for incentives with no hope of a return," he said, adding one excellent questioner pointed out that their denigration of job creation totally ignored the indirect jobs created by the plant. It is important when Reith Riley must add employees, Heidecker Wheat Lake has to hire more, Fandries, Bab Ford, Ebles all need more help to handle the influx. This benefits the entire community. This is a company recognizing the benefits of joining our community and the trying to make it economically viable in the face of other communities trying to woo them. They came to us. We didn't recruit them. This is, again, Supervisor Jim Chapman. I can understand what he's saying, but I disagree with him that it would provide the influx to places like Ebles, Babford, all these places. And there, again, are plenty of other industries that we can bring without subsidies. But even, I might accept subsidies for a greenhouse, for food. Yeah, I want to bring a greenhouse. Let's do this. Nice, there's one. Good article. But if this meeting was on Monday night, why did it take this long for the Pioneer to print it? Shouldn't this have been in Tuesday's paper or at least in Wednesday's paper? This is a question for Pioneer management. Okay, well, that wasn't very helpful. I'm sorry, but I have these notes that I wanted to share, and then some meetings that are coming up, including one this Thursday, and then I'm going to let you know what you can do to possibly stop this, or if you're interested in stopping it. If you're not, let me know why in the comments down below. So this is Big Rapids Charter Township Board special meeting that happened on Thursday, February 2nd of 2023 at the offices. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss updates to the term sheet and discussion regarding Gotion with the township attorney. Let me close that. There we go. Can we make there we go. Let's zoom in a little. Make it a little bigger. Sorry about that. Alright, so discussion with compliance, clawbacks, annual inspections, water usage at max capacity, and use of fire hydrants for filling tankers discussed, differences on parcels in term sheets. So this is all to discuss the issues right here regarding board's discussion on potential issues needing addressed in sale of industrial park. So yes, they are trying to sell the land to China. Now, what China does, really quick, China will let you buy the land, let you set up shop and build what you want to build, and then they'll come in and take it once it's successful. So, I don't think that we should act like China, Communist Party, so I'm not down for it. Just say no. We don't want you here. I'm sorry. We will build our own infrastructure. We don't need a Chinese company. Okay, so these are discussion items that was said at this meeting, questions that were asked, just a quick overview so that you get an idea. I just found this, so I had no idea about any of this either, and I don't know which questions are being answered rather at the Thursday meeting. Sorry, I'm stumbling all over my words. I apologize. Let's get back to this document. So this is the board minutes, by the way. I should go. The Board of Trustees for Big Rapids. And this one came out of the special meeting from February 2nd. Okay, so the meeting. So the next meeting is January 24th, which is this Thursday, and it starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be going there, so if you have any questions that you would like me to ask, please let me know in the comments down below. I am going to come up with some questions, but obviously 2 brains better than 1, 1,000 brains better than 2, so please, if you have an angle that I might not consider, I would like to know. I would like to know all the questions. Going back, Mike to reach out to Gotion engineer. Okay, wait, sorry. Go back one more. Discussion with compliance clawbacks annual inspections. Water usage at max capacity and use of fire hydrants for filling tankers discussed. Differences on parcels and term sheets. I don't know exactly what they're saying with these notes, but I do know that it takes about 30,000 gallons of water to put out a freaking electric vehicle battery fire. 30,000 gallons for one fire. So having this huge production facility as a potential fire hazard, that definitely needs to be something looked into. Do we have enough water to stop a fire? And again, they're putting it on the water. So they might have enough water, but do we want it used in such a way? Do we want our electricity used in such a way? You know, they say all kinds of things about shortages of electricity and we have to spend more and electric prices going up, but we're going to share our electric bill, our electricity rather. We're going to share electricity with this huge Chinese company, Gotion. Mike to reach out to Gotion engineer. Written review from Mike and in person determining whether township wants to be in the water business or not. Discussion on sewer meters, usage, installation, initial costs and ongoing maintenance. Who's responsible for public improvements? Traffic analysis. That's a good thing too. What's going on with the traffic if this happens? Public comment. Patty Downey asked about performance bonds, mile radius mentioning workforce study claiming people will come from 50-mile radius. Do residents know this? Mile radius mentioning workforce study. People thinking it will be locally created jobs. Average wage of company is $60,000. What is average based off of? Need actual job numbers, wages, not average. October 5th, 2022, Gotion purchasing 100% renewable energy, wind or solar farm. Jim Peak came to attend, lots of rumors, wanted to see what actually happens. Board thanked him. Motion by Everett, supported by Curry, to meet in a closed session pursuant to Section 8H of the Open Meetings Act to consider material which is exempt from disclosure under Section 13 of Michigan's Freedom of Information Act. Motion passed unanimously. What is that? Motion by Bean, supported by Everett, to return to open session at 3:26. Motion passed unanimously. To discuss session pursuant to Section 8H of the Open Meetings Act, to consider material which is exempt from disclosure? Exempt from disclosure, so they made the meeting private for an hour or something? And why is that? What were they discussing? What is this? I guess I should look that up. What is 8H of the Open Meetings Act? Oh, really? I can't copy that? Oh, yes, I can with the keyboard. I can do whatever I want. Open Meetings Act. Okay, H. Right? Let me double check. 8H. That's what we're looking at. 8H. Why does it start 15? There's 8. But there's no H. Wait, okay, wait, maybe this is it, because there's an H there, history? I don't know. 8. At a meeting held under this section that accommodates members absent due to military duty or medical condition. Only those members absent due to military duty can participate remotely. Any member who is not on military duty... Okay, maybe that's not it. I'm going to look into that more. I'm sorry that I don't know exactly what that is and why they closed the meeting for an hour, and they said that it's exempt from disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. That's interesting to me. Curry motion to cease work on the term sheet until questions are answered. Bean supports. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Curry for the attorney to draft a resolution for board discussion, supported by Bean. Motion passed. A motion was made by Curry to develop a list of questions and information for Gotion, from our attorney, in development with Mike Oizer, and request a response by 2/24/23. Everett supports. Motion passed. So the questions might be answered this Thursday. Again, I will be there. I'm going to go at 1 o'clock. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to make a list and ask some questions, but please, again, if you have any, I would love to ask them. Bring them up. Put them down in the comments. This is very important stuff for Michiganders. These two don't really say much, but it just says January 24th, a special meeting was called by... Ooh, that's a local business owner, if I'm not mistaken. Owns a greenhouse right off of Jefferson. But maybe not. I gotta look into that. That last name is on the sign. But anyway, Bean at the last special meeting to discuss the following: term sheet development agreement, legal opinion, closed session. I don't know what that means. I'm gonna go and see what that means. I'm gonna go ask some questions. I don't think it should be closed. I don't think there should be any information that's hidden from us. So I have to see why they're doing that. Who are they protecting? And why? Alright, so this was February 2nd, so it doesn't even matter. Boom, close that. So here we have all the meetings. This is the meeting. Yeah, okay. Meeting coming up, and then... Oh, wait. We're in February. We're not in January. I'm all messed up. The next meeting isn't until March 7th. I apologize. I'm a whole month behind. And I'm very disappointed, but still, I'll be there. I'll be at the meeting March 7th. The January 24th is when all those questions should have been answered, and so I want to know what's going on. I'm going to do research. Please let me know the questions. I'll be at the March 7th. I'm sure it's at 1 o'clock. I will ask the questions and give you all the answers that I receive. So I'm sorry. I, again, was a month behind. I can't believe. I missed all these meetings, but I won't miss the next. Well, you know what? Let me see really quick. Let's see what it says here. Okay, so this meeting that just happened was called by Bean and supported by Curry to discuss an executive order in place known as CIFUS. Okay, so let's see what that is. Yes. The Committee of Foreign Investment. Okay. Alright, so that's what that is. Next meeting, March 7th. I'm disappointed in myself for misreading that. I apologize for that, but there you have it. That's all the information that I have for you today. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm sorry once again for the little bit of confusion in the dates, but March 7th is when the next meeting takes place. So there's time for you to get your questions to me. And I'll keep you updated. This is big stuff going on, and this is just one piece of the puzzle. But this electric vehicle push, we need to do research, we need to do our due diligence, and we need to know what's going on as Michiganders. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you being here. Until next time.